Right, let's get started. So, welcome to the first open house of 2025. I'm sure we'll have a couple of more before the year is out so that people can have an idea as to what we're doing around here and all the changes that are going on this year. And people can have the opportunity to ask questions. That's the main reason why I do this. I do these almost quarterly, somewhere around there, but I always start off at the beginning of the year with one so that we can have something also that's recorded and sent out for folks that are unable to access this space. It's always better that you're here today because if you have questions, you can ask them live, and folks that watch the recordings don't get that luxury. So thank you for making your way here. As you probably know or have read, I hope that we have transitioned. So we are no longer the Atlanta Institute of Tantra. We are now the Amina Institute, which is twofold, right? It's my name, and so it's a good name. I like it. But it also means trust. And in a program where we're really focusing on learning how to have trust in the body, it just seemed much more fitting to have something that was named after the thing that we're doing, which just happens to share my name. And that was also rooted in the fact that like I started off as Tantra in Paradise, which was in Hawaii for well over a decade. And then it was Tantra in the Bay, which was in the Bay Area. And then we had Tantra in Atlanta Institute of Tantra, Atlanta Tantra. And I'm like, okay, we're gonna keep changing the name, right? Because we're gonna be location based, or we're gonna set something up that's actually real, structurally sound. So no matter where we're going, we are rooted in the same principle. It doesn't have to change the name. The other thing is that there's a misunderstanding about Tantra in uh, in our world in general. And Neo Tantra, which is how I was originally introduced to Tantra as a practice, is its own thing, right? But it's not where I landed. And so I was introduced through Neo Tantra, and eventually, very shortly thereafter, I confused myself thoroughly with Vedic and Buddhist Tantra and started moving towards Buddhist Tantra lineage, Buddhist Tantra practices, which actually are not necessarily rooted in sex and sexuality. They are rooted in somatics, they are rooted in embodiment. And so all of my learning, for the most part, in any lineage of Tantra has come through embodiment and somatics, which is beautiful. And I use that in my application of sex and sexuality. I use that in all my teachings on communication and relationships. But at the gate, when people see that, there's a myriad of misconceptions that can be alive for them. And I teach other stuff, like all kind of wild, freaky, kinky shit. And so it also can thoroughly confuse, like, is this Tantra too? And so I wanted to make sure there was some clear delineation and that I wasn't being misrepresented and therefore appropriating the word and earning an income off of something that could be so misleading. So I wanted to also clear that up as well. And so we'll be moving forward. We'll still have classes that are rooted in Tantra. My teachers will still be here. I will still lend out information from my teachers. I will still recommend the courses that they teach in the Vajrayana Tantra lineage. I just will not use that as the front page. You won't see that at the front. I will be a tantrika till I die. Um, and so that's who I am and what I do, but that's not all that we do here. And I wanted to also be more welcoming and accessible for folks as well. So that's at the start of open house. Welcome to the Amina Institute, as opposed to the Atlanta Institute of Tantra. You'll start seeing things change. Our domain will still point to atltantra.org for a little bit. You'll be able to type in the Amina Institute. You should be able to type in both now, and they point to the same place. And then we're just slowly phasing out. We're shifting the emails. It's going to take some time for all of that to process because the brand is so recognizable as ATL Tantra, and we want to make sure we don't lose anyone. But that's what you'll be noticing over the next probably 6 months while we make this transition as smooth as possible. I am not a tech guru, and so there may be some bumps on the road. There's already one today, just with the links. So just keep in mind that that's my reality, and and have some patience and some grace for me because when I'm using technology, we tussle and it doesn't always land exactly where I want it to land. So that's the start. That's me. I'm glad to have you here, and I'm hoping that in this process of kind of learning what we're doing this year, there'll be more clarity. You may have already noticed that the website is a little more streamlined. So if you haven't had a chance, you can go check it out. It's a little more streamlined. Same three principles where you can become a member, you can become a student, or you can learn some basics. Those are like that's always going to be there on the front page. How to work with me, that's the basics. And then we just scaled everything down a bit, right? So we can focus more. I want to focus more of my energy on writing and on creating. I've really, over the last few years, there was this shift, right? We had COVID, and in the process of a global pandemic, it required me to shift all of my classes, which were 100% in person, to 100% online. That was a big transition for me. That was a big transition for all of us here at the Institute. Some people ended up going to get other jobs and working with wherever they lived because the traveling was a bit much as I left the country. And then I was in Hawaii for a couple of years. So all of this made things just wild, right? Like for me. And so we are coming back to our roots of in-person events, in-person classes. We love that what happened with us moving online was that I got to meet people from all over the world. I have students in Australia. I have students in East Africa. I got to really connect with folks all over the globe and not just in Atlanta, which is where most of like 95% of my student base was. And so that's been a beautiful expansion. I want to keep that alive. So to keep that alive, I'm going to continue with online training that's mostly at your own pace. There's a couple of exceptions, and I'll talk about what those exceptions are. But most of the training is move at your own pace. And as grandma would say, a match under your ass because we say move at your own pace, but you have to finish it in a certain allotted time. There's plenty of time to do that. We make sure of it. The program gives you 1 full year to complete any of the do it at your own pace classes, and they can actually be completed pretty easily in 12 to 18 weeks if you just allocate a few hours a week to the training. So, but you can slow it down if you want, and I recommend that. You can speed it up if you're like just high energy and this is all you're focusing on. It's up to you. So that's kind of just an intro to what we have here. Nidhi, I see you saying that you Tantra Tuesday was your ish. It was my ish. I miss Tantra Tuesdays. Every week just about every week we had a workshop live and in person where we went over everything from meditation to altar building to face sitting to finger banging. Like you just named it, it was on there. We had a weekly episode for it. That weekly gathering will always live deeply in my heart. And it's something that I believe that can only really live, and snacks, yes, something that can only really live in Atlanta in the way that we had it, because it was Atlanta, right? It was so in the heart of Atlanta, and the community of Atlanta really built that. And occasionally when I come home, we still have them, but just not as often anymore. Now it's more like twice a year and not every week. But I want to talk about what we do have. I'm just going to share my screen so that you can see this is just the main courses. So a lot of times I'll just say / something. And what I mean typically is atltantra.org / whatever that is. Um, so on this, what you'll notice is that there's a little explanation about the Amina Institute, kind of what I just talked to you about. And then as you scroll down, you will see the rest of the courses that are available right now. I'm going to walk you through each one really succinctly so I can leave some space open for questions. The first one is authentic consent certification, and this is here largely at the top because it is a prerequisite. Where we used to have Tantra 101 as a prerequisite, which was a series of 10 classes, now we have authentic consent as a prerequisite for each class. And it's taught as a 6-week online course. There are other opportunities. I am teaching it at SLN this summer. There are other teachers that are teaching it now as well. So if you're in the course now, you're meeting Jax and Tasha a bit more intimately. They are co-facilitating the course with me right now. They also are qualified and to teach this course to others in a way that certifies you as a class. This training, Authentic Consent, is my baby. I am in love with what we've created as far as finding our voice, as far as learning to listen to our body, developing boundaries that hold us in relationships. All of these things are very important before we move on to anything else, any play parties, any touch-based practices, anything like that. This has to be at the root of it. And so we start here. This course, though, also when you finish this course, you can actually teach other people about consent using the name and logo of Authentic Consent. It is you have permission to do that. You cannot certify them; they would have to come to the 6-week training. But you could actually go out and teach teenagers or teach lovers or teach in a kink space about consent using the principles of authentic consent, and we encourage that. So you can learn more. All of these have a little button for you to click on. That doesn't look like it's clickable, but let's see what's going on here. Oh, no, they are. Okay. It just doesn't look like it. Teasing me. So that's one. Our sacred sexology program, or sorry, somatic sexology program is a 3-part program. We all start with touch. We start with touch because touch is the base of this work. And it doesn't mean that you have to go forth and be a touch-based practitioner. It does mean that you have to develop an understanding of somatic body work. This is different than massage therapy. This is different than Reiki. This is different than other styles of body work. This is an intimate focus, somatic-based body work that uses theories and practices from traditional bodywork. I am, trained as a massage therapist, and that has been a gateway for me to this work. It's also utilizing principles from somatic experiencing, which I'm also trained in, as principles from other somatic theories and practices, which I've trained and studied in. It also uses a history of my body of work as a sex worker and as a teacher, and some basics around embodied education and embodiment, how the body moves, the anatomy of trauma, the anatomy of anxiety, the anatomy of other ways that we show up in the body. And so this is important for us to move on to anything that's next. We start here, and it is, oh, it's the, sorry, that part, here's, now I get to see all these typos. It is not, there's 6 sessions that are live. The rest of the course is online. You take it at your own pace. You read, complete the assignments, you turn them in. And then there are 6 live sessions that happen throughout the year. The first one is in February, February 8th. All those dates are here when you click. Registration for this is open now, and this is how you get started into the program. Registration closes on January 31st for this cycle. There are 2 cohorts every year. So we start one in January. The classroom opens up on January 15th. And then we start another one at the second half of the year. And so you can start either now or you can start later. It's up to you. You still have a year from the day that you start the program to complete it, and you'll move through that completion with the cohort that you start with. At the end of this Erosomatic Touch certification, there is a 4-day in-person training. We do one abroad and one in the US every year. This year, the training is in Utah, and in Provo, Utah, and here in Panama. The training that's here in Panama is in like 2 weeks, so you're not going to make that one. You might make the one in Utah if you're going at a pace that allows you to be there. But you might find that you want to take your time and you want to come back for the next January training in Panama in 2026. All of those options are available to you. And you can start with level 2 once you complete all your training. Even if you haven't completed your in-person, you can come back and do your in-person after you've completed all of your level one requirements. You can move on to the level two classwork. The only catch is you cannot start level two, which is the work of the sex doula. You cannot start level two in-person training uh, before you've completed the in-person training for erosomatic touch. So those are things to know. Somatic Touch is a trademarked name for the training. And so once you have completed the course and actually are certified, you can use that in your marketing as well. And so it also is a boost for you in whatever business practice if you're a touch-based practitioner, as it has the already its own SEO weight. And we work to do that type of thing for our students so that you're not starting from a baseline of zero as you move into your own professional and private practice. When you complete level two, you can move on to level three. Level three is a somatic sex coach training, and this is the class is taught in two different ways. The somatic sex coach training is taught in either you come into person and you do two intensives and the intensives have a break in the middle for you to work in. The other option is that you move through the long seminar style program online. And so we have um, 6 dates that are full day seminars for you to complete the program for level three. That one is no longer a move at your own pace. That one is you have to work through and you have to work with clients and have supervision in your coaching. So and that is so that you can qualify for ICF coaching, which is the International Coaching Federation. It's just an accreditation for you to have so that you can be in this work and be accredited and have folks that, can find you in other sources as well. All of these programs, once you complete level one, two, and three, then you are awarded the designation of somatic sexologist that is recognized by the American Board of Sexology. You can submit all these completions to them, and you will be recognized as an accredited sexologist in the US, and we're working on our accreditation in Europe as well. So that's the start. That's the year long, and you can finish all three of those in a year. Most people take a little bit more like 18 months. Some people have finished it in a year with no problem. It really depends on you and your schedule. You have up to 3 years to complete the program. So it's up to you and your schedule. If you should lapse, though, let's say you start one program and life gets at you and you get distracted and whatever happens, you don't finish and the year comes up, you have one chance to renew um, and for an extension, and there's a fee for the extension. And you have that, you get 45 days to wrap up. So it also depends on how far along. If you started and you only finished 3 homework assignments out of the 20, then you probably will have to start all over. So there is some, a little bit of impotence to get to work if you're ready to join the program when you know, like, okay, I'm very serious. I'm ready to be serious. We have an extensive support network. You have office hours and access to me every week. I always tell people that's the steal of the program because in order for somebody to sit with me, it's about $250 starting at per hour. So if you're going to come to the class, you get an opportunity to sit with me. You get an opportunity to have your mentorship with me throughout the program. We have office hours, we have co-working, we have a chat that's pretty active, and then folks in different cities, different parts of the countries that actually gather and meet in their studies. And so there's a lot of opportunity for community building here as well. I'm going to pause there before we scroll into what's next. So just to get to check in and see how we're doing, to see if there's any questions that any of you have right now before I move on to what's next. And you can just raise your hand or unmute yourself and ask if you have a question. The raise your hand function is down at the bottom. Go ahead, TRA. Hello, love.
Good to see you. Okay, so I signed up for Aerosomatic Touch Level 1 in June because I was like, I want to commit. And I didn't actually sit down to do the orientation of like how things would flow until like pretty much right now because I was just like, I have a year. And now I just feel a little bit disoriented around being like, what cohort am I in? Can I join the February cohort? And like a little bit of that, like, oh no, I'm behind. But then I'm also somatically trying to be like, that's not how I want to engage.
Right, right. No, no problem. We sent emails out to most folks. I don't think we got to you because you were in June. So we had a lot of folks that were coming up. They were going to be ending in May or in April. And so we sent the email out to them, inviting them to just join into this cohort so they could be in one cohort and support and be supported that way. Of course, you're more than welcome just to jump on in. That way you'll be with one group and moving through all that with us all at once. Just email team@atltantra.org so that Gia can add you to the cohort.
Okay,
Yeah,
wonderful. Thank you
you're
so
welcome.
much.
No, so you're so welcome. Thank you for that question. All right. If we don't have any other questions, I see something in the chat. What are the dates for level two? For our level two this year, uh we ha if you're doing it online, you just do it online, right? You just take your time, do it online. If you're doing it in person, right now we have a 10-day intensive, which is not online training, right? That's just you doing the full training in person with me, as opposed to moving at your own pace. That starts on March 6th, and that's here in Panama for 10 days. Um, and then we have the in-person 4-day retreat that is in the second half of the year. So our calendar here is kind of broken up. It's really broken up into two parts. Basically, what happens is in June, we soft close every year. We have our summer break for the month of June. Um, we do our cleanup, our admin, our taxes, all kind of stuff, all the business stuff that we have to do in June, that we have to do once a year that gets done in June. And so we have no classes at all. We're still around to answer questions, but classes and office hours are done. And so I look at the calendar as like, right now we're in calendar part one, right? We're in the first half of the year and we're fresh, ready to go. January, February, March, April, May. At the end of May, we start pitter-pattering towards Southeast Asia and slowing everything down so that we can just be in preparation for what's next. So our level two 4-day retreat is in the second part of the year. That's when we come back in July. And so July is authentic consent at Atlanta Institute is in July. Level two training is in August, right? Sorry, I don't want to quote. Yeah, level three is in July. Level two is in what month? Might have to come back to you for the 4-day training because I might not know it off the top of my head, and it looks like it's not written down in here. So I think it's August. Don't quote me. I can get that back to you. And then there's a level one training in the second half of the year as well. These are also always based on enrollment. So I have to say that because sometimes we have folks that finish up and they're ready to go, and then the only ones that finished up, like other people are dragging. And unfortunately, that makes it really challenging. For some folks, we have to have 4 students for a cohort to graduate. So right now we have 19 registered in level one. So hopefully we'll have some graduates ready for a level one cohort in the fall. But this 2 cohort system is new. And we're hoping that this allows us to actually have more people ready to go and financially ready to go as well. We did lower the cost tremendously for our trainings. One of the things that with us being, we stopped doing housing. And during COVID, what I started doing was having retreat home. Like we lock in for 4 days, we test, and then we stay in a house for 4 days and move through our in-person training. And so now our training looks a little bit different in that we're not locked in anymore. We do still have some protocol, but basically you would be responsible for your own housing, which actually brings the price down a lot because what we were paying for was housing, a lot of it. And that was making training very expensive and inaccessible for a lot of people. And so we've been shifting that model as well. Am I doing it in Utah? You can go in with a group and get an Airbnb, or you can stay on site and share a room at the hotel that we'll be at in Utah with somebody, and it'll be about $40 a night as opposed to I think we were somewhere around 250 a night because of the housing costs and the food costs that we had to incur. So So yeah, so that's that. I see some more questions and I see a hand up. So Ayana, I'll go to you first and then I'll read through the questions next. Go ahead.
Hi, Amina.
Hi.
I have a question.
Mhm.
I received the email about a scholarship, which I'm extremely excited about. Thank y'all so much. But I'm unable to financially register until the 31st. But I know that authentic consent is happening now. So, what would be your guidance around that? Do I just catch maybe be added to the next cohort since I'm 1 week, like since I missed a week, or what would your guidance be around that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I typically would say move through the course. You'd have to complete authentic consent before you can come and do any touch-based work. However, yeah, I think I saw your email and I was like thinking about it and then I thought about something else. So just my and pure transparency. And so
Listen, it'd be like that.
yeah, so we could also talk offline today after this.
Okay.
Like what it might look like for you to jump in now. It's just that like it would have to be today, like today's
Yeah.
because after today you'll miss 2 weeks and then that's no longer you won't qualify for the certificate after that. You have to be
Right.
for 5 of the weeks out of the 6.
Okay.
Okay. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. All right, so let's see here. And I see some questions. Apologize for my lateness. Authentic consent is considered level 1, or is that a prerequisite? It's a prerequisite. Authentic consent is the prerequisite. So you have to start with authentic consent before you move into level 1. Um, and you cannot come, like if you're starting and there is no authentic consent being offered, like right now, right? Class starts on January 15th. Authentic consent started last Sunday. So what happens if you can't be in today's authentic consent class, then you can still enroll, but you won't be able to complete the course until you complete authentic consent. And there, I don't know when Tashe or when Jax are teaching a course on their own. You don't have to just go to authentic consent, though. Let me just back pause 1 second. Authentic consent is a prerequisite or another equitable consent course. One of the equitable consent courses that I will allow is Betty Martin's Will of Consent, her training. If you go to schoolofconsent.org, I believe, you might find something there that is, she just does also a 6-week online training. And so you might find something there that's coming up sooner. I am not in competition with her. I'm trained by her. And so you thought that training would also qualify. My need is that you understand consent at a level that moves you through this course safely with me, and with others. And so that is a requirement. I was looking at another consent course and it didn't have enough of a somatic lens, and so we actually removed that one. If you know of another consent course that is rooted in somatics and you would like it to be considered, you can also send that to me. I can say you've already taken a consent course that was very powerful and it was rooted in the body. Let me know and I'll take a look at it and see what their training is and see if that qualifies. But you have to have gone through consent training. Is there still time to join this cohort? Deja, yes, there's still time to join this cohort. Um, you can register up until January 31st. If you're not in authentic consent and you can't join in by tonight, tonight is week 2. You have to complete 5 out of 6 weeks of the training in order to qualify for the course. And so if you miss 1 week, that's fine. But if you miss 2, then you have to redo it. One of the things about authentic consent is that you can take the course as many times as you want to. We have people that are now on their 6th iteration of the course. I don't charge extra for you to move back through my courses once you've completed them. You can come to any course again as often as you want so the material and information really lands. Also, we're always growing and adding more. Like Loving Corrections came out over the winter break. And so we have parts of this that are now in authentic consent that couldn't be there before. And so we'll have like that's always going to be a part of our methodology that we get access to new information and we want to make sure that we are incorporating and growing with our community. And so you will always have that opportunity to re-enroll as well. But yeah, so I hope that answers that question. How far in advance do you recommend planning for the in-person intensives? Good question. Once you have completed the course, then you're ready, right? And so what I always tell people is like, look at your pace. If you're keeping up and you have a pace that is going to, where you're doing maybe a module a week or a module every 2 weeks, and you're looking out at the course, just time it that way. So if the course is 3 months out, and you have 6 modules left, but you've been hitting them every other week, you got plenty of time. Go ahead and register. But if you know you've been really struggling to get through the modules that you're at, and you don't think you're going to be able to complete them before the course, before the in-person training starts, then keep that in mind. It really is going to be based on how fast you're working, how the information is landing for you, what your schedule and what your financial ability is. Those are the things that you have to think about. Um, if you register for the course for the in-person training and 30 days out, we review everybody that's registered for the course. We actually will move you to the next one automatically if you are not on pace to complete in time for the course to start. So that's something just to be aware of and to pay attention to. If you're 4 weeks out and you've been moving really slow and now you got 6 modules left to go, we know you're not going to make it. You're going to rush through that part. And so we're just going to reach out to you and have you move to the next one. So yeah, thank you.
Um,
Uh-huh.
Sorry,
That's
I
okay.
just want to make sure I understood the last thing you just said. So let's say, for example, I'm registered to come to the next in-person intensive, and at a certain point, 4 weeks before or something, you look at all the students and you say, oh, this person actually has too much to complete before any amount of time before the intensive. So then you just automatically reach out and say, hey, boo, we're going to move you into the next one because you're not going to make it.
That's exactly what happens. Yeah.
Okay.
We give you 4 weeks. We can't really tell, right? Until that moment, like we start getting closer, we're looking. And if you're like, I usually know, right? We're usually having these conversations. I'm going to tell you right now, just a heads up, like the people that get those kind of messages are the ones that don't come to office hours, haven't scheduled their one-on-ones with me, all of that. So I already know you're behind because you're hiding from me. And so I'm going to come at you with love and grace, but I'm also going to let you know, like, I know you're behind and you know you ain't ready. So let's just go ahead and push you to the next one. And so, yeah, that's what ends up happening. So, yeah. If I see that you're registering though, and I will let you know early, like, hey, listen, I see that you're registered for Utah and you've only completed about half the course. I want to know if you need some support to get you completely through this course right now? Like what's holding you up? What kind of accountability partnership can you use? Are you utilizing the resources in the classroom? Because I also want to be curious about that as well. So we have all these opportunities for us to like get it done. My goal is to get you out into the field. I need more of you to work because I can't meet the demands of the needs in the community. And this work is so deeply needed in the community. And so yeah. So my goal is to get you out of the nest and onto the into the streets and doing the work by any means necessary. Um, the dates for level two, yeah, for Sheila for the intensive, you're ready for the intensive. If you want to do the intensive, it's March something. You saw it on the website, yeah. 6th through the 16th. There you go. I don't know what I said. It's 10 days, 6th through the 16th. That's the correct dates. The online is not what I'll be freestyling and looking at my calendar. So yes, online, 6th through the 16th. And then if you do the online training, then you can do the 4-day training in person, or you can also, for level two, we also are working on a long format course, long format seminar style where you do 3 days of online classroom. So we're also navigating that, and that will be announced in the fall. For folks that maybe travel is hard for, the kicker is you won't be able to miss those days. If you miss any of them, you won't qualify for your certificate. And there'll be long format classes. So we're talking about 6 hours a day online. So keep that in mind that that's also an option, but it's not complete.
Okay. Can I ask you a quick question, please, just for clarity?
Of course.
Thank you so much. My internet's a little crappy right now, so please bear with me. Thank you. Just be sure the independence is from the through the 17th. That's what it says online. I messed up with the 16th. But you said that there were two different dates. You said that there was a date on the 6th, and I was wondering if it was to the 12th, and then there was another one in July or August. That's what
It,
was confusing me.
it's the 6th through the 16th. Level two starts on the 6th. It's a 10-day training. It's a 10-day intensive. So it starts on the
Right,
6th,
right, right.
it ends on the 16th, and then there will be another one based on need, of course, that will happen in the fall. And I believe those dates will be in August, but those dates right now are still TBD.
Gotcha. And those, and what you're saying is those are two different opportunities to get the level two in-person training.
Yeah, so what you have,
Okay.
you have the 10-day intensive, which
Mhm.
means which circumvents the 18 module course online.
Understood.
You come to the intensive, you're just doing the intensive. That's not allowed for level one. I no longer, I used to teach an intensive for level one, but then I realized like I needed more. Yeah, they needed more
Mhm.
time. And so we got now level two and level three always will have intensives, which mean you don't have to sit online the whole time. You can just come straight to class and we just move through all the material together in class. It's my preferred format for learning. Like as a student, I prefer going in line. So I have to have the one that I like, right? That's the one that I like the best. But I'm also have these different models so that it's accessible to different learning styles because everybody's brain is not as sparkly and as spicy as mine. And so I want whatever way is learning best for you. If that means sitting on the computer and moving through and reading at your own pace over the course of 20 to 30 weeks, that's an option too. Either way is fine. We call them intensives now, not retreats, because no one was really retreating. They're all intense. So, so yeah,
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
you're welcome. Okay, so we have another question. I'm based in the UK. I've been wanting to embark on this journey for quite some time, although unsure of how to go about it. So this is the process. You first would have to start with authentic consent or some consent course if you've already gone through that. If you like, I've already taken Will of Consent, yay. Or let me know and then we'll just get you rolled right in. And then you just start with that. The kicker about the UK is that you have to come to this side of the pond to be able to complete level one. You can complete level two and three without coming in person, but level one requires hands-on bodies, and that requires in-person practice. Um, Although flights from the UK to Panama are a lot more fun, it seems, than flights from the UK to the US. So just come down here and visit and get some sun. When does the second cohort start? Second cohort, all the second season is after we return from our summer break in June. So we complete the whole month of June, we are off. We are not, it's not sabbatical off, like I'm not answering my phone. That's December. In December, you won't find me. In June, I'm still accessible. We're just not in class and there's no office hours, there's no co-working during that time we're just working on administrative stuff. And so after the June break, after our summer break, that's when the fall cohort starts. So it classroom opens on July 15th and registration will end on July 31st. Same just like in January. Yeah. Okay, I think I answered all the questions. Yeah. Okay. I see you, Deja. We're gonna get you in class tonight. Let me go back to where we left off. So now we have a couple of other courses that are new or back at the Institute. One of the new classes that we have is our Sacred Intimate training. And this is specifically training folks to be a sacred intimate. This is sex work training. This is working as a sacred intimate. This could be covered. You could do this work as a surrogate. That is a possibility, but there's also all kind of other ways that we show up as sacred intimates, not just surrogates. And so in this course, you learn about what those things look like, how to keep yourself safe, how to start your business, how to start, well, not your, how to start working at a practice working. And that I say not your business because if you're living in the US, it's just not a legitimate business. And that it's very, there's a lot of gray area and a lot of black and white. And so we teach you what that is And this is a class that is limited to 12 participants. I think there are 9 spots left though still. So this one starts in February, starts at February 5th. It's every Wednesday. February 5th is a Wednesday, right? Every Wednesday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Yes, it is a Wednesday. Um, This is a class that is useful if this is the work that you want to go on. You do not, like some people are showing up for the somatic touch and the long form class, but they actually don't need that. And so it's really about you deciding what is necessary for you. What are your goals? What are your ideas? Where are you looking to go to next? That's where we start for that. So that's our first new training for the year. Do you have questions about that? We'll come back to it at the end, but just know that that's there. Cuddle Sage is not new. Cuddle Sage is back. And Cuddle Sage is a course that is teaches you how to be a professional cuddler and also how to host professional cuddling events. And so it is a long format class. There's a in-person version and a online version. In-person version will be held in DC in April, on April 25th, 26th, 27th, that weekend. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's a 3-day class it's held in DC. So it's a total of 16 hours, no matter which way you look at it. 8 weeks live, which is every 2 hours every week, or in person over the course of a weekend. This is a trauma-informed, queer, and other bodied abled cuddling program. It teaches how to use platonic touch and intimacy. We call ourselves professional cuddlers, but the other mainstream word is cuddle therapist. That word is legally used in the US. And so that course prepares you for that and also gives you a community of accountability so that when folks are looking to see if you're trustworthy to hold that space, they know that you've been trained somewhere for that. Kinky Kinesiology is a study at your own pace course. This opens also on the 15th. It is a study at your own pace course that teaches you about the body. One of my teachers is Shola Rayburn. She always says we know more about our cars than we do our bodies, and we don't know that much about our bodies. This class is to teach you about movement and somatic awareness, how our bodies move, how we brace, how we can open up, things that we can do for pelvic floor and pleasure-oriented movement patterns, things of that nature, breath, all of that is incorporated in Kinky Kinesiology. It really gives you an overview of the body and the muscular system, as well as the nervous system, all in one. It is a fun kinesiology class. That's its thing. Erotic Embodiment 101 is a series. This has replaced the Tantra 101, and it's just a 6-part series. That's just, again, study at your own pace, move however slow you want, pop in when you want to, disconnect when you don't. This course is to teach you about the basics of erotic embodiment. And then there's the Six-Figure Sexologist, which is a mentorship program that I host folks to do a program. It's a 6-month investment on a 12-month program that helps to get you to the point where you are able to live. I do not think 6 figures is how you get rich. I do think that you deserve a livable wage, and a 6-figure income allows you to survive in the US. And so, that program is designed to get you there. That is it in a nutshell. So I'm going to take a pause again and see what questions. Yes, TRA, I got you. Yep, Cuddle Side is being offered again. It's coming back up in the fall, in the spring, sorry. And the Sacred Intimate, when will it be offered again? That is a good question. I don't know. Um, Probably it won't be offered again in the first half of the year. We'll be reevaluating, like, okay, how often, based on like participation and demand in the community. But right now, yeah, so for right now, it's just that. I do realize like, oh, all these are happening right now. Yes, because there are technically a lot of different pathways and so we want to make sure people are not just pigeonholed into the class that they don't necessarily need. And I'm also one of my other big things in the community is I'm building educators as well. And so I want to make sure that all the folks that are doing this training that want to teach are able to start teaching under the leadership of somebody that's teaching, right? And so it's able to allowing me to take on that role as a mentor to let other folks also step into the role of educator. And so we have a lot that's happening. FOMO might be in your back pocket. Throw it in the garbage. It doesn't matter. It will get repeated. You'll see it again. Take what feels good. Sit with what your body needs, your body wants right now, what you have the capacity for. Shit's lit over here. I know that. And so just stay connected. Take the classes that work for you and work for your schedule, that work for your lifestyle, and know that there's time. There's time to move through these programs. It will happen again next year. It's been happening every year for 7 years now. We're moving into our 8th year of this work, so it's not going away. Um, Unless I get struck down by lightning or something. So otherwise, we're good. All right. So, and even then, I'm training people. So if I get hit by the bus, then everybody else is still going to come in, and that's what we're working on. So, is there a prerequisite for erotic embodiment? There is no prerequisite for erotic embodiment or for sacred intimate. I do always recommend that you take the consent course just so that you can know thyself, because doing this work without knowing who you are is whew, ooh, it's heavy. And so a lot of the getting to know who you are and the strengthening through your own practices, a lot of that's going to come from coming through authentic consent, learning what your voice is, learning how to discover yes and knowing your body, learning how to communicate your wants and needs, learning models of communication that support this work, learning ways in which we connect with each other and through boundaried relationships that help us be in the work and do our own work. So I always recommend that you start there, but the only ones that have the prerequisite are going to be your level 1, 2, and 3. Okay, I made it through the information. Great, we have 10 minutes to spare.
Amina, what's the
Yeah.
prerequisite for becoming a teacher in training?
The prerequisite for becoming a teacher in training is that you move through all three, you get your certificate, and that you're seeing clients, and then you start working with me in the mentorship for me to have you teaching.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I have a whole program outlined too. I can send that over to you so you can know, like, okay, I got to do these things.
Yes, I'll send you a text. Thank
Okay,
you.
you're welcome. Any other questions?
Good question, Nina. I know you have a new program. It
I
will
didn't hear
be
you.
on
Say that
Zoom.
again.
Oh shit.
I, Go ahead. I can hear you.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Oh, that's much better. Woo, that's
Yeah,
good.
I had you on my Bluetooth.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Um, you sent out an email recently about a new residential 3 month.
For our residents. Uh-huh. Yeah, so the residential program is for
Yeah.
who are teaching currently, and who have a program that they've already developed and are already teaching and are trying to get that program
Okay.
moved and developed. And so for some folks, they don't have that. And so for them moving through all of the parts of the work of development, like we started this year with the strategic sanctuary, so that folks can have
Yeah.
an idea, right, about like, okay, where am I going with this? It's hard, start orienting towards teaching if that's the goal. But yeah, and the application is out there. And
Yes.
when you move through the application, it's pretty detailed. It asks you to upload your course, your marketing, so we can see what you've been doing. And then that is allowing us also to bring in teachers that are teaching something in the field of sexology, somewhere in the field of sexology. So that's still pretty a wide umbrella also, right? Like we're looking at all the ways in which we show up in the erotic and looking for folks of a diverse background to be able to teach in our community, so that the expertise that we have because we have a very big wealth of knowledge
Yeah, yeah.
in our community that maybe not necessarily well marketed or not necessarily very visible. And so I'm looking at like how do we merge our ideas? How do we merge our products? How do we support each other and bring folks in that
Oh,
are
that is awesome. Okay, thank you for breaking that down for me.
you're welcome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you. You're welcome. I can't retire if I'm the only one teaching y'all. Like it's impossible. And I want to retire. I love my work and I want to play in the sand. And so I'm also really, really working so that we can all be visible and all be learned. There's just so much. I have some of the applications I've gotten from the residency program, I'm just super excited about, and I haven't even publicized it much. But we just have so much information. We have folks out here with tremendous programs that they've developed and that you've never heard of. And and you should know. And so we're going to see, you'll start seeing that in the coming year. Yeah. Okay. The sun is glaring. All right. Well, if anybody else has questions, speak now, raise your hand, unmute yourself. Otherwise, we're going to get ready to wrap up for the day. And I think that covered mostly everything. There's also volunteer opportunities. There's work study opportunities, and the scholarship application is open until January 15th. And so you'll find all of that online when you go to the sexology page or the classroom page. You'll see them on both pages at the top. It's in bold. That please, or you can just go /scholarship. It's there too. So there's opportunities to work, study, to practice in those ways also. Upon completion, one of the other things we do, we have a resource page. And so we list our graduates that are actively working on the resource page as well. And those that are in the practice can tell you, I mean, you can ask around those who have graduated that are in the practice. They get plenty of referrals because they get people that call me every day. And so it's a nonstop referral network for those that graduate also. And so those are all things to think about if you're looking for making this a part of your life and your career change. You cannot attend level 2 until you've completed level 1. That's the only kicker. You have to complete. Thank you for asking that. Yes. You can start the online class, but you cannot do the intensive until you've completed level 1 all the way through. Thank you for asking that. All right. Well, if that's all the questions, thank you all for coming out, for spending an hour with me and asking me and chatting with me. For those of you that wanted to join tonight's course, if you can just do me a favor and right away just email me. I'm sitting in my email as I wait for the class to open, and so I can help you get into that classroom. If you're starting authentic consent and you want to get in before this class, because after this class, you have to wait for the next one. Amina at atltantra.org. So email me directly, don't email team. Email Amina at, let me type that in so you got it. Amina at atltantra.org. And and then we'll get you taken care of in the next hour. I'll go get something to drink first.
Actually,
Hi,
Uh-huh.
hi, really quick. When is the next one? Because I can't make this one. When is
Mhm.
the next one?
So the next one that I'm having won't be until, there's one in July at
Okay.
Esalen. And then I will update folks. You'll get emails when one of our other teachers is facilitating one. I don't know what their schedules are yet. They have not put their schedules out for the year yet, but we have other folks that are trained and certified to teach it. You can also take the Will of Consent online
Okay.
as well. So if you go to School of Consent, let me just make sure. Let's see here. Here it is, the calendar. Nope, not there. Hold on one second. So here,
Got it.
Yep. So that's also a course that I will accept. And so in-person events, they have one coming up in Austin, Texas next weekend. Um,
Okay.
They're all over the place. They got one in Netherlands and Poland. I don't know if they're full or closed. Sometimes they have some that are just for BIPOC. Sometimes they have one that are centering queer folks. They're all over the world, based on wherever their facilitators are. And so you can go to a will of consent training. What I recommend, though, of these classes is the Like a Pro training. And so at the top, there's a click to jump to Like a Pro. And to me, that's the best course that's going to be for you, but it's 4 or 5 days of in-person training. I don't think they do like a pro online. Oh, they have one in September coming up. Um, Otherwise, for the most part, it's already done. So yeah. So there's like a pro coming up in February in Manchester, Michigan, which is outside of Ann Arbor. There's one in Oakland, and there's one in Washington, D.C. The Oakland one, I did that training with with Carmen Leilani, and it was amazing. I recommend that always if California is accessible to you. If going up to Oakland is accessible to you, and that one is for BIPOC only. Carmen is a Filipino woman that teaches that course. It's pretty good.
Thank you.
I think, yeah, Tiara, I think they're Hawaiian Filipino. Yeah. I find all my Hawaiian people in the world wherever I can. So yeah. Yep, yep, yep. Yeah. All right. If you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to email me or email team@atltantra.org. If it is a question that doesn't need immediate resolution, typically team@atltantra.org is going to be your quicker response. That is my assistant, and she is in email all day, not all day, but every day for me. If you email me, it might take a while because you will be one of 500 daily emails that I have to sort through and send over and figure out. So if it's something that you needed, like right now, I'm telling you, if you're coming to this class, go ahead and email me right now and we'll work on that. If it's like, oh, I have a question about this, or I'm trying to figure out this, those are sometimes can be better suited, better answered through going through our team email so that there's more eyes on it and it's quicker response. Otherwise, I will see you all later. Thank you all for coming and spending some time with me on this beautiful Sunday. All right, tell me how to say your name because I'm gonna mess it up.
So I go by Deja, but my name is Jamaica.
Okay, Daisha, but you like Daisha. So Daisha.
Yes.
Okay, all right. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Peace, y'all. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.